Okay, Christ versus Christ consciousness. What's the difference? If somebody's interested in Christ consciousness, it must mean that they believe in Christ, right? Like, it must all be good. Wrong. Okay, here's what's up. When someone is really preoccupied with Christ consciousness, maybe they've accessed a state of Christ consciousness within themselves, or they've heard about it and they're really curious about it. It's a new age trap. It's a new age trap for people who want to become Christ themselves. And there's a big difference between accessing Christ consciousness, which, by the way, is possible. It is possible for a human being on this earth to access the state of consciousness that Jesus himself lived in as a perfect man, as the Son of God. Usually, I would say, from my own experiences and from everything I've seen and witnessed in the New Age, usually nobody accesses Christ consciousness and maintains dwelling in that state without interruption. Typically, it tends to be a state that people enter into only very briefly, maybe for a few hours or a few days. Maybe some people are able to get there and stay there for most of their lives, but that would be pretty unusual. What's way more typical is that Christ consciousness is something we tap into in an altered state, perhaps with the use of psychedelics or plant medicines, or some other kind of a method. And we get a little glimpse. We get a glimpse of what it must have been like for Jesus. And if our ego is still present and still with us through this experience, which of course usually it is, we can make the mistake of thinking like, oh, I'm Jesus. Oh, that's how that works. It's me. I'm Jesus. That's the trap of Christ consciousness. And it's actually an intensely narcissistic trap that the New Age loves to facilitate. The New Age wants you to believe that you're God. Because if you believe that you're God, your energy can be harvested by dark and demonic forces. If you believe that you are not God, and that you need to surrender yourself to God, the one true God, and worship that God, and repent for your sins, and humble yourself before that God, that's not very useful to dark and demonic forces. So Christ consciousness is thrown around a lot in the New Age, and I see people in the New Age getting very, very aroused by the idea of Christ consciousness. It's like so trendy, you know? It's like, oh, I feel like I'm accessing Christ consciousness right now, you know? I've been hearing some women say that lately, you know? And then the man that they're with, you know, he'll be like, oh, I feel it too, you know? Like, of course you do, right? Like, bless these beings truly. Forgive them, Lord, for they know not what they do. There's nothing wrong with having some kind of glimpse, some kind of initiation, some kind of small taste into these divine realms that give us a little bit of a perspective on the difference between the ordinary state of consciousness and these higher realms, these divine realms like Christ consciousness, where we can imagine that, you know, an ascended master or Jesus is accessing that state all of the time. But ultimately, these little tastes can become a trap. They can become a trap because they can teach us that, oh wow, just because I got there for like a minute or for a day, it must mean that I am God. It must mean that I am Jesus. Avoid this trap. Avoid this trap. Do not seek to be God. Do not seek to be Jesus Christ. Because here's the thing. You and I, we're not perfect. We are not here on a mission to die for the sins of the world. We are flawed. We are imperfect. We are here to learn. We are here to heal. We're here to repent. We're here to ask for forgiveness. We're here to learn humbly, very, very humbly, how to love thy neighbor as thyself. We're here to be in service to the poor. You don't need to access Christ consciousness to do any of what I just said. It doesn't require you to become Jesus Christ in the flesh, to do a better job loving thy neighbor, to ask for forgiveness for your sins, to repent and ask for mercy, to pray and ask for salvation. None of this requires accessing these higher states of consciousness. And therefore, the pursuit of and the seeking of the higher states of consciousness is itself the trap, in a way. It implies that we think that we can become God by trying to get there. I'm going to try to get there. I'm going to get to Christ consciousness. And I'm going to find my sacred, tantric, beloved, twin flame. And she's also going to be accessing Christ consciousness. And then we're going to birth the new earth. And we're going to birth a divine child who will be here to create heaven on earth. All of this stuff is nonsense, okay? Straight up, it's nonsense. Don't fall into these traps. If you're falling into these traps, think of it like a red flag. It's a red flag in your life. You need to wake up. You need to wake up and realize that you're on a narcissistic path. And it doesn't actually lead to any of these outcomes, which sounds good. Oh, it sounds good, right? I'm going to meet my beloved like twin flame. We're going to create like a tantric bond, and we're going to dwell in Christ consciousness. Doesn't that sound nice? Wow. What a nice sounding thing. But it's not real. It's not real, and it's not actually the way. It's not the way that Jesus was teaching. If you read the teachings of Jesus, he was not teaching to be God. He was not instructing his disciples that they are God. That was not the point. He was teaching people how to live with more compassion, with more love for one another, with more forgiveness, with more humility, and to be in devotion and to be in worship to the one true God. Not to think upon oneself as that one true God. So that's the pitfall. That's the Christ consciousness trap that is to be avoided. And if you read the Bible, you'll see very clearly that the Bible it's not teaching people how to be God, okay? It's teaching people how to live a good life. That's it. Then there's a big difference between those two things. So, all right, lots of love to you people. If you find yourself falling into that trap of wanting to become God, recognize that that's the same thing that Satan was doing. That's the same thing that Satan was doing in the Bible. Satan got kicked out of heaven because he wanted to be God. He wanted to be like God. That was what created the fall, the separation from heaven into the satanic realms, the darker realms. So if you're on that path of wanting to be God, of thinking that you need to attain to Christ consciousness and then paradise on earth is going to manifest all around you, if you're in one of those traps, it's a satanic path that you fell into. The way that Jesus taught is a path of mercy, humility, compassion, love, forgiveness, repentance. It's a very humble path. It doesn't have really anything to do with the ego. It's all about humbling thyself. Humble thyself before God. The New Age path of Christ consciousness is very narcissistic. It's all about the ego. It's ultimately ego inflation. Even though it seems good, like a lot of things in the New Age, it seems good, but it's actually, it's the broad and wide path that leads to destruction. So that's it for me today, people. Enjoy your beautiful day.